How did I get here? Having over 50 plus credit cards. I'm Key, and my channel is called keyKEYadventures. My channel focuses on the mistakes I've made with credit cards and credit card rewards programs over the years, but also I share with you my traveling adventures using credit card points and miles. Today I'm going to share with you how I got first introduced to travel, credit card rewards, and I'll also even share some of the stuff that's on my current credit reports. I want to share my first experience with travel, but to do so, I have to go back to my childhood a little bit, so bear with me. I grew up here on the East Coast with my parents and brother, but all of my other extended family is out in the Midwest. Each summer, my parents would take a 2-week vacation and we would travel the 14 plus hours in a car together on a road trip off to the Midwest to visit all. We weren't staying at any motels or hotels or anything. It was like we packed a cooler and we were just hitting. That was great bonding time, but it's definitely not the vacation or the adventures that I embark on nowadays. I should also note, kind of before moving on, that despite us spending those 14 plus hours in a car together bonding, we as a family, even when we had cookouts and things like that, we did not talk about money, credit, personal finance, or really anything in my family. And really the only time that we did is when it was in a negative light. So just growing up, younger Key thought that credit and just credit cards equal debt. That's kind of the perspective I had at that time. Fast forwarding quite a bit to now my sophomore year in college. And at this point, I had my first real travel experience when I received an internship in the West Coast. This was really my first time experiencing travel as a young adult. And not only that, it was solo travel, right? I was traveling without my parents, without my friends, or really anyone that I knew. This experience on the West Coast really whet my beak to just the different culture, even though, right, it's still in the United States, but just the different culture, the different foods and customs and quality of life, pace of life, really whet my beak into what travel could be. I was seeing, mountains, like real mountains, sand, wildfires and rattlesnakes, all that for the first time for real. Flashing back to those vacations that I thought were vacations back then, this started to open my eyes quite a bit. I'll circle back to this experience here shortly. My first experience with credit was also during college. I went to lease my first vehicle right around the time I was graduating, maybe a little bit before that. And unfortunately, you guys know this, but I didn't know at the time. You can't lease a vehicle or purchase a vehicle without having some credit. So I didn't have bad credit. I just didn't have any history of creditworthiness at all. Circling back a little bit to my upbringing and my childhood, right? My parents and my family, they aren't the type. I see a lot of YouTube videos now where people are basically putting their kids on as authorized users fresh out of the womb. My family wasn't like that. So I didn't have any credit at that time and I needed a cosigner. So my cosigner ended up being my brother. Major shout out to him for that. But he was really the first to introduce personal finance, credit, and just what it means to be a cosigner, right? And how important and mature I needed to be with that because it could affect him if I wasn't responsible. So that whole experience with leasing the car kind of, definitely opened my eyes to the world of credit, probably for the first time really as a, 19 to 21-year-old. But I knew right then and there, I didn't want to have to rely on someone else to be a cosigner for things that were within my control. So in addition to leasing the car, probably around this time, I got my first credit card, which was either a Capital One card or a Discover It card. You probably have the same one. So it's important to note that even though I wanted to build my own credit history and my own credit profile, in my mind, credit was still a bad thing, just going back to younger Key, right? So back then, whenever I got those Capital One or Discover It card, I didn't even set up automatic payment. I really only used the credit card like a debit card. I think I purchased like my textbooks for the semester on it. And then immediately that Friday or like every Friday or Saturday, I would wake up and pay my credit card bill in full. So I didn't even need to set up automatic payment because that's what I was doing, just because of that fear mindset that I had. So how did I get into serious travel, right? So I already had the credit cards, right? I was using it like a debit card. I forced myself into those habits mostly because of that conversation I had with my brother, but also, right, I needed to rent an apartment, and that involved running my credit. My first job out of college as well ran my credit, which I thought was interesting, right? So I'm glad that I kind of started when I did, because I don't know if I would have been able to start my career in the business world. So upon graduating college, there's really two kind of things that really sparked what I'll just call keyKEYadventures, right? One of those things is that I joined a multi-level marketing company. Yeah, I don't really want to talk about that too much, but I think it's important to say that company was involved in the travel industry. At the time, I had really still never, even though I was like 20, 21 years old, I'd still never even taken a true vacation at that point. I had done the internship thing. I had, done those road trips with my family, but not like a vacation at all. So being in that multi-level marketing company definitely opened my eyes to travel and just like what it means to actually take a vacation that has, culture, food, history, like stuff I saw in textbooks growing up. I was now like seeing it in real life, like actual events and things like that. So I think it's clear I do regret joining the multi-level marketing company. But during that time, I actually was able to go on some pretty affordable trips and send my family on some pretty affordable trips. One of which was a cruise that I sent my parents on for their anniversary. And them too, they had never really taken what I'm going to call a true vacation. They did the I'm going to visit family in the Midwest thing in the road trips, but never like this is the itinerary. You're going to be doing this on day one, this on day two type of vacation. So when they got back from that cruise, like seeing the pictures and just like their excitement, you know what I mean? Just really got me wanting to do that more, right? For them and also for myself. Second thing that really got me into serious travel was the jobs I received after college involved me doing a lot of business travel. So I'm thinking like if I was to average it out, maybe 1 to 2 weeks per month, I was traveling for work. This was a mix of domestic travel within the US, but also I spent a lot of time in Europe, as well as Asia, which I'm super grateful for. As you can imagine, right, they're paying for that travel, but after work, I was hitting the streets, I was experiencing the culture, the people, the food, the bars, all of that. So again, this was kind of area number 2 where even though my work was paying for the travel, I was really loving that experience. So this is definitely when the keyKEYadventures today and like the lifestyle I like to live with, traveling once per month really evolved right here and there. My first travel credit card came in 2015 or 2016. Most of the people I was hanging around were mostly people from work because we were traveling together so often. And the card that they would regularly pull out would be the American Express Platinum card. So that's what I got. Over the years, throughout college and things like that, hopefully it's apparent that my level of financial maturity increased. I worked for Fortune 500 and Fortune 1000 companies, and I often saw that at these companies, they were using corporate cards mostly as a way to manage their cash flow. I'm sure there's other reasons as well, right? But manage their cash flow being kind of one of those reasons. And to be honest with you, I really want to run my life as if it is a multinational corporation. So this is kind of when I started really starting to spiral into credit cards and truly what happened and how I have all this today. But at the time, nevertheless, the American Express Platinum card came with a $450 annual fee. With that fee, you did get a $200 airline incidental credit. And just me being curious and trying to grow my financial education, I eventually stumbled upon Flyer Talk. In Flyer Talk, they were talking about the American Express Platinum card and how you could use how you could obtain that $200 travel credit without like truly having an incidental on an airline. This no longer works, I should caveat that, but back then, United had a gift card registry where you could basically purchase like a $200 Amazon gift card or just a gift card to wherever you wanted to shop at pretty much. And because it was through United, it coded as travel and it triggered that incidental credit to be released. This whole like gamification and like maximizing credit card rewards, that was really triggered from me stumbling into Flyer Talk and then eventually other blogs and YouTubers. As promised, I wanted to share with you my current credit profile, I guess. Just using the three major bureaus, my credit score today in 2024 fluctuates between 726 and maybe 790. I don't think I've ever hit 800 or over 800, but I'm not sure. I don't really check my credit score too often, to be honest with you. But the reason why I probably don't hit 800 is because I like to maximize rewards, as I told you that Flyer Talk story before. So now, present day, I'll actually use 0% interest credit cards for the 12 to 21, 24 months that it offers on purchases. I'll use that to my benefit. So it's not uncommon for me to call my insurance company and ask if there's any potential discounts. Many years ago, I stumbled into that if you pay the full amount of your auto insurance or homeowners insurance, renters insurance, etc., you'll actually probably receive a discount for doing that. So I'm always leveraging a 0% credit card to pay my auto insurance in full. And then every single month I have the auto pay set up to whatever it would have been if I was paying that charge monthly. So that way I lock in that 5% savings. That's just how I do it. And that's probably why my credit score will never really exceed 800, to be honest with you. I did make some notes. I have a 100% on-time payment history. I have 0 derogatory marks. And my longest credit card has been open probably 13 years at this point, maybe 14 years. However, because of this collection and stockpile I have here of cards, my average age of credit history is actually 4 years and 8 months. Depending on which report you looked at, the lowest amount of hard pulls or credit inquiries was 3, and the most I had was 10 on one single report. Even though today in 2024, I have well over $300,000 of credit limit available to me, I truly do believe it comes back to all those years ago, just thinking that credit was bad, but also like taking it upon myself to like build up what good credit habits looks like and leveraging automatic payments and staying organized and things like that. Today, I absolutely do not use 50 credit cards on a regular basis. I probably use 1 to maybe 3 cards regularly in my setup. One of the ways I actually like to stay organized, and I made a video on this, is actually by tracking all of my credit cards that I obtain with a company called Travel Freely. I'm going to just link the video. This is not sponsored in any way. I'm just a regular old normal job having girl. So this video is definitely not sponsored, but I like it and I've been using it since 2019. Why do I have 50 plus credit cards today is really, I think I just like seeing how many the banks are going to give me at this point. That and like when people are asking me about different credit cards, like what's best for them, I really want to have that experience and knowledge of like firsthand of me having the card and trialing out different things. So that way I can always just give the best, most unbiased opinion on that. Thank you for listening to how I got involved with travel, credit card rewards, and all of that stuff. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And let me know if you'd be interested in me doing a video of walking through like a keep versus cancel analysis of all the cards that I still have today. Thanks again, and peace.